October 27th. This is your daily morning sales supercharge, and you will maybe laugh at me. I was so excited to be back home and have my normal setup and not be, in a beach house, like crouched over the bed trying to get the video done. And I went to go live and I knocked my phone over and spilled water all over my laptop, not my laptop, my keyboard and my trackpad. And I was like, we were so close. We were so close. So a couple minutes late today, had to clean the water off my whole working area. But welcome to everyone who is joining live today. It's so good to see everyone. Martin, I think it's afternoon where you are. Good afternoon, my friend. Michelle, Jen, Christina, Michelle again, Patty. Hi. Oh my gosh. Okay, we are getting this done this morning despite phones falling and water flying everywhere. How is everyone today? Let me know in the comments, what are you grateful for today? What are you most celebrating in your life? And we are talking today, we've been doing this book study, this Think and Grow Rich book study, and we're focusing on these 11 factors of leadership. And whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in sales leadership, you're in sales, or you just want to lead better in your life, these all apply. And I will say, today's definitely, it made me laugh a little bit, especially just because some of the language feels antiquated, but it's actually, I think it's going to be a really good conversation for today. Hey, Jen, good morning. Good morning. So I'm going to read to you this 7th great factor of leadership. You can go back and watch the rest of the series for the 6 that we've already covered. But this one says a pleasing personality. And it just kind of made me laugh, but it's actually some really good points. So a pleasing personality. No slovenly, careless person can become a successful leader. Leadership calls for respect. Followers will not respect a leader who does not grade high on all the factors of a pleasing personality. Now, again, that one, I was like, oh my gosh, this gives me so much to talk about. So here's the thing. When it comes to your personality, like how much are you actually aware of your personality throughout the day? And how much do you notice maybe old ingrained patterns, where it's serving you, where it's not serving you? I want to know from you, like, how much are you actively aware of your personality throughout the day, what you're doing? And what research shows, so by the age of 35, your brain is pretty much hardwired into a set of patterns, default programs that run almost automatically. And so it forms these neural pathways and patterns that are kind of on autopilot, which determine your personality. So that's why 2 people can be in the same situation and have radically different reactions to it, radically different perspectives on it, because they have different personalities. However, here's what's exciting, because people used to think that meant that you were just fixed and you couldn't change or shift any part of you, any part of your personality, that it was like, well, this is what it is, so I can't change it. And research in neuroscience and epigenetics shows that you can change that. And that's if you've heard the term neuroplasticity, there's a lot of syllables in today's live stream, but this is just if you want to look into the science of this. So the whole concept of neuroplasticity is that you can change your brain, and you can change those quote unquote predetermined, but not really predetermined, more just you've thought the same way for so long that your brain automatically wants to think that way in certain situations. And so what this is that it's really about becoming super self-aware and looking at, for where you're going, are you a match for that? Like really dig, and this applies to leadership, it applies to sales, but it applies to all aspects of your life too. So for where you're going, whether that's financially, whether that's impact-wise, business-wise, life-wise, are you a match? Like, is your personality a match for where you're going? And I would actually love to know in the comments, like, do you think it is? Let me know. Yes, no, like maybe rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How much do you think you're a match right now in terms of how you think and how you feel and how you act for where you're going? And Joe Dispenza has this great quote. He says, "Your personality defines your personal reality." So this would be a great thing to write down. Okay, your personality defines your personal reality. So everything in your personal reality is determined by you, who you're being, right? This stuff is actually pretty obvious when we think about it, but so often most people create by default. Most people aren't aware. I know I wasn't aware for most of my life, and I kind of felt like almost like I don't know that I was like feeling like a victim to my circumstances, but I just didn't realize that I could shift these things. Thank you for the hearts. And so PBC, yes, I have the personality of a millionaire. I love it. Okay, that's awesome. And so let's see here. Michelle's saying, oh gosh, maybe a 6.5 today, struggling a bit. That's so just that self-awareness is like, yes, right? Because when we're in a situation where we feel like we're struggling, when we can take that like radical responsibility without any sort of judgment or making ourselves wrong, but say, oh my gosh, I'm here. Like I created this because I was kind of creating by default. I wasn't really like as intentional as I know I want to be and I'm going to need to be to shift things. And so now I know, so now I can make a change, right? So that radical responsibility with zero judgment is really important. Let me just check and see. PPC now, if I could get my bank account to match. So this is, yeah, I get it. And so this is where this is so important to have just this massive amount of self-awareness and to look at, okay, if my bank account isn't matching yet, if I feel like I've got the personality of a millionaire, but my bank account isn't matching yet, and I'm saying this from someone who like was there, what are the areas where I'm going to need to up level how I'm thinking, how I'm acting, how I'm investing my time, so that that outer reality will match my inner reality, because that's the key. That's the requirement. So this is where we get to really kind of get excited and get open to it and say like, man, like who is that version of me who has that reality? And how great are they with money? How great are they at sales? How great are they with other people? And really kind of make it a game. Michelle, a month ago I wasn't. Now I feel like I'm a match the majority of the time. That's huge. And that's the other piece. I love the commentary here. This is so great. This doesn't have to take that long once you're aware of what you're doing and once you're aware of why you're doing it too. So we'll dig into that in a moment here. Jen is saying, I always thought that you are who you are. I didn't know I could change it my entire life. Totally wish I knew this sooner. Well, that's the thing. It's like, now you know, right? So I know you're actively shifting this right now, which is great. So if you want to make a change, and let's say a lot of this is in the context of leadership, but leadership, sales, whatever. If you want to make a change and you want to grow your business, grow your sales, grow your team, whatever, but you're doing it from that present personality, that kind of, which is really just who you've been in the past, right? You got to look at, like, does that person have the outcome that you're looking for? I hope this is making sense the way I'm explaining it. So the way I kind of look at it is like, would I want to work with me? Would I want to work for me and how I'm being? And when I think I've gotten it to a point where I feel pretty solid in saying yes. But when I first started asking myself that question, there were definitely places where I was like, no, like, I had habits, I had things I was doing that weren't, from a leadership standpoint. And I'm just saying that because we're really focused right now on growing our business and our team. I was like, no, I wouldn't want to work for me with that pattern. So we get to be super self-aware with this and look at, well, if not, who is the person who leads at the level that you want to, has abundance at the level that you desire it? And knowing that part of how we do this and part of how we make that change. So once you get clear on who that person is, you can make that change in yourself. And how you do it is by actually practicing embodying those traits of the person who has the reality that you want. And so this is where, for me, in my morning meditation every day, I'm practicing being that person. what are and for the woman who has those results, or the man who has those results, like, how are they as a person? How are they showing up? What are their characteristics? So I would even like write a list. Thank you for the hearts. I would write out a list of, these are the characteristics of the person who, has grown their business to this level, has hit their sales at this level, lives in this place, whatever. And then what are those character traits? And when it comes to leadership, right, it's like greatness, empathy, nobility, courage, confidence. And there are actually genes in your body that you can signal when you practice embodying those traits, where over time, as your body, if you haven't been actively activating, wow, that's confusing, actively cultivating those traits in yourself, and you haven't been practicing those, just know it's going to take a bit of time. And it doesn't have to take long. Just like Michelle was saying here, it's like kind of just been like a month, right? It doesn't have to take long once you're aware of it. But as you actively practice greatness, courage, abundance, freedom, compassion, nobility, empathy, your body will start to get used to that state, and your body will start to get used to those emotions. And then new neural connections actually form, and genes fire in new ways in your body to make that your personality, your new upgraded personality. But it takes massive intentionality and massive self-awareness. And then over time, as you no longer, thank you for the hearts. I'm like, I hope this is making sense the way I'm explaining it. And I hope it is. I trust it is. As you stop practicing so much those old behaviors, those old parts of your personality that aren't a match for where you're going. Maybe it's frustration, maybe it's fear, maybe it's scarcity mindset. As you stop practicing those, because again, you're going to have to be really self-aware of it. Those old neural pathways that were so like, bing, this is exactly where we go anytime something happens, right? Like anytime I look at my bank account, I'm in scarcity mode. Like as you stop practicing that and you actively cultivate the feelings of abundance, the feelings of greatness, the feelings of expansion and being unlimited, those old neural pathways that were like superhighways in your brain for whatever, scarcity, lack, et cetera, they actually start to fall away and they prune themselves apart. And so now, because you can't think greater than how you're feeling, so this is something really important to know. Your emotions matter a lot. You can't think greater than how you feel. So if you're in a mode of scarcity or a mode of resentment, and that's like definitely not a match for where you're going, your thoughts are just going to be at that level. They're going to be at that lower level, that lower vibrational level. You're not going to have the thoughts of and ideas of things to do that would get you to that higher level. I hope that's making sense. That would actually help you create that vision and turn it into your reality in your world. Kristen's saying always elevated when visualizing me being my best full out self. Yes. So that emotion matters a ton, because as you actively cultivate being in more of a state throughout, like do it first thing in the morning in your meditation, but then you can't just do it then. You've got to practice it all throughout the day. All throughout the day, you've got to come back. You've got to notice. You've got to shift. Okay. When you go back into those old patterns. And as you actively practice that and you're in more of that elevated state of greatness, courage, confidence, nobility, whatever the emotion is that you're practicing, you're going to have thoughts that match that level. You're going to have a new level of thinking. You're going to have a new level of ideas. And that new level of thinking and those new ideas are the very things that you must act on to get you to where you want to be. So is this making sense? So this is it. This is so important. And again, like I said, I was kind of laughing as I was reading about the language, not laughing. I mean, again, it's just the language is from the early 1900s, but about having a pleasing personality. But when we know that we can shift our personality and that it is under your control, and that to create the type of leadership you want to create, the type of abundance in your life you want to create, you got to become a match for it. And that starts with your personality. It shifts everything. So do we have questions on any of this? Does anyone have questions? Does anyone have comments? Let me just take a moment and read. Kristen saying gratitude, joy, inspiration. Yes. And just practicing being that all throughout the day. Oh, Ilke, good afternoon, my friend. I'm so glad to see you here. Yes. Let's see here. Jen is saying self-awareness is everything. Brilliant. Yes, it really is. And it never ends. Like you get, the more self-aware you get and you make the shifts and the change, and then you're like, you're living your new reality. And then you're like, oh, well, here's this whole next level of consciousness that I'm being invited to learn about and to step into. But it's fun because the experience of it is like, it really is a gift. You will fall so in love with the person who you become in this process that you won't actually really care about your bank account. You won't really care about the size of your following. You won't really care about those things, but they will shift to mirror and match back who you're being. And it's going to feel like a really great byproduct of how you're showing up. But you're going to feel so good, so whole, so complete, so in love with yourself that it's like, there's nothing like it. There's nothing, it's worth everything. Thank you so much for the hearts. So take a moment. If anybody has questions, pop them in. And while you do that, I just want to give a reminder next Tuesday, which I think is actually the 2nd. I think I gave the wrong date yesterday, but next Tuesday afternoon, I'm doing a live coaching intensive. I'm teaching for 90 minutes. This is content that I've never taught this way before. So this is new and fresh. If you have been to any of my other master classes, and I'm actually going to block out 90 minutes at the end just for live coaching with the people who are there. So send me a DM, get me registered. This is the last time I'm doing this year. Okay. So if you want, and this, you don't have to be a current client to join. But this is going to be a lot of, it's like, if you're really ready to make some shifts and up levels in your life and in your sales and just go into 2022 super powerfully, you want to get registered for this. Let's see here. Michelle, that's exactly where I am right now. I am totally and completely in love with myself. Oh my gosh. I love it. And I see that when we talk, right? That's so brilliant and beautiful. And when you're there, that's when the magic happens. That's when the synchronicities happen. That's when the inspired divine ideas happen that help you create radical shifts in prosperity in all areas of your life, right? It's really beautiful and it's really empowering. So, all right, my friends, I've got a coaching call at the top of the hour, so I'm going to hop off. I just want to do a reminder. Tomorrow I will not be live, but I'll be back Friday. So Friday morning, 8:30 Eastern, come join me. We're going to dig back into these factors of leadership. We're going to do great leadership factor number 8. And we're going to have an amazing time together. So send me a DM if you want the link to register for next Tuesday's coaching intensive. Send me a DM if there's any other way I can help you or be of service. And I'm wishing you a beautiful, 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 beautiful rest of your Wednesday. Bye for now.